Manchester United were supposed to start the new Premier League season with a statement. Instead, they walked into Hull City and got completely exposed. A newly promoted Hull side beat Manchester United 2-0, scored twice from set pieces, and made one of England's biggest clubs look completely lost. And the strangest part? This wasn't simply a case of Hull getting lucky. The Tigers had a plan. They executed it, and Manchester United never found a response. So the big question after this shocking result is not simply, how did Manchester United lose to Hull? It's this: did Hull just expose a much bigger problem at Manchester United? Welcome back to VREO. Manchester United arrived at the MKM Stadium with huge expectations. Michael Carrick was beginning a new Premier League campaign with a squad that had been rebuilt, strengthened, and expected to compete near the top of the table. Hull City, meanwhile, were celebrating their return to the Premier League after 9 years away. On paper, there was an obvious difference between these two teams. Opta had given Manchester United a 68.9% chance of winning before kickoff, compared with just 12.2% for Hull. But football isn't played on paper, and Hull made that very clear. Imagine returning to the Premier League after almost a decade, and your first game back is against Manchester United. Most newly promoted teams would probably spend the opening minutes trying to survive. Hull didn't. They attacked. They pressed. They challenged United physically. And most importantly, they didn't look intimidated. Then came the moment that changed everything. In the 17th minute, Semi Ajayi found the breakthrough. But this wasn't just a random goal. It came from a set piece. And that detail would become extremely important. Because less than 20 minutes later, Hull struck again. Nobel Mendy headed home from another set-piece situation. 2 goals, 2 set pieces. And suddenly, Manchester United were 2-0 down. For Hull supporters, it was pure chaos. Fans were already singing, "You're getting mauled by the Tigers." And honestly, for Manchester United, it was becoming very difficult to argue with them. This is where the result becomes more interesting. Because Manchester United didn't simply lose 2 goals. They conceded twice from situations they should have been prepared for. Set pieces are supposed to be one of the most organized parts of modern football. The assignments are known, the zones are known, the runners are known, and yet Hull repeatedly found ways to attack United's defense. The first goal produced particularly embarrassing scenes. Maguire and Mazraoui appeared to be marking each other rather than dealing with the attacking threat. That image quickly became one of the talking points around the game. And United fans weren't just angry about conceding, they were asking a much bigger question. How can a team with Champions League ambitions defend like this? That is the difference between calling this a bad day and calling it a warning sign. Now, let's be fair to Hull, because if we turn this entire video into a Manchester United disaster story, we're missing half of what actually happened. Hull deserved credit. They played with confidence. They attacked crosses. They competed for second balls. They were aggressive without looking completely reckless. And they understood exactly where Manchester United looked uncomfortable. The Guardian's match report highlighted Hull's strength in aerial duels and their aggressive approach, while United struggled to create clear chances and were repeatedly outmuscled. This is what made the result so shocking. Hull didn't spend 90 minutes simply parking the bus. They made Manchester United uncomfortable. They forced United into mistakes. And when the chances came, they punished them. For a newly promoted team, that is an incredible way to announce yourself. But now let's talk about the other side of the problem. Manchester United needed a response. They didn't get one. The team had possession, they had experienced players, they had attacking options. But possession isn't the same thing as danger. United struggled to create enough clear chances to seriously threaten Hull. And that became increasingly frustrating as the game went on. Marcus Rashford was introduced at halftime, hoping to change the attacking picture. But even that couldn't completely change the game. United simply couldn't generate the sustained pressure you'd expect from a club of this size against a newly promoted opponent. And that is where the criticism of Michael Carrick is going to begin. Because losing away from home can happen. But losing without looking capable of changing the game is much more worrying. Now comes the question Manchester United fans will argue about. Is this Carrick's fault? Some will say absolutely not. It's one game. It's the first match of a long Premier League season. The players were the ones defending the set pieces. The players were the ones failing to create chances. And Hull deserve enormous credit. But others will say this is exactly why Carrick will be judged. Manchester United are not rebuilding forever. They have ambitions of competing for the Champions League. They have invested in the squad. And Carrick has had time to prepare this team. So when your side concedes twice from set pieces against a newly promoted club and struggles to create enough danger at the other end, people are going to ask questions. Not necessarily, should Carrick be sacked? That's far too early. The better question is, has Carrick actually solved Manchester United's biggest problems? Because after one game, that answer doesn't look very convincing. And perhaps the funniest part of this result is the reaction. Within minutes of Hull going 2-0 up, football fans online were turning the game into a comedy show. Some were joking that the banter era had returned. Others were asking whether Carrick could become one of the first managers to be under serious pressure this season. And then there was the obvious one. Mauled by the Tigers. That phrase was everywhere. There were also plenty of jokes about United's set-piece defending. And one particularly brutal theme kept appearing. Manchester United fans had spent the summer talking about improvement. And then the first serious Premier League test arrived, and they lost 2-0 to Hull. That's football. You can plan for months. Then one afternoon can completely change the conversation. The online reaction captured that perfectly. But here's the thing. We should not decide Manchester United's entire season after one match. Hull were excellent. United were poor. And both things can be true at the same time. For Hull City, this was more than 3 points. It was a statement. They are back in the Premier League, and they are not planning to behave like a newly promoted team. For Manchester United, however, this result raises some uncomfortable questions. The defense looked vulnerable. The set-piece organization was poor. The attack lacked cutting edge. And Michael Carrick now has to find answers quickly, because the Premier League isn't going to wait. So what do you think? Was this simply one terrible opening day performance from Manchester United? Or did Hull City just expose problems that could follow United throughout the season? Let us know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this post-match breakdown, subscribe to Vireo for more football stories, reactions, and the biggest trending moments. See you in the next one.